The message arrived just as I finished signing the last set of merger documents for a tech acquisition. It was December 22nd, and the Chicago skyline glittered beyond my office windows. Harper, honey, about Christmas this year. With your brother, Mason bringing his new fiancée. She's a TV anchor, you know. We thought it might be best if you sat this one out. You understand, right? Love, Mom. I blinked at the text, then allowed myself a tight smile. Equal parts amused and exhausted. 15 years, and nothing had changed. Despite everything I'd built, they still considered me the outsider. What my mother didn't realize was that the freelance analyst she'd never taken seriously was now Harper Lynn, CEO of Limbridge Strategies, the firm quietly shaping some of the largest business decisions across 3 continents. The intercom buzzed. "The Mirage executives are ready for the call," Janelle, my assistant, said. "Thanks, Janelle," I replied, straightening my navy silk blazer. My family probably still assumed I thrifted my clothes. I never bothered to correct them. 15 years earlier, I had walked out of our Minnesota farmhouse after refusing to join Lynn & Mason Holdings. "You're being selfish," my father had roared. "You think you know better than all of us?" From his leather chair, Mason had chuckled, arms crossed. "Let her try. She'll come crawling back." But I never did. I moved to Chicago with nothing but a laptop and a vision. I built Limbridge. From the ground up. Long hours. Impossible risks. No guarantees. Today, Limbridge quietly held minority stakes in half the companies my family dealt with. A knock sounded. Janelle entered holding a thick folder. "Contract from Lynn & Mason Holdings," she said. "Ready for your signature." I smiled. So, they needed help after all. I picked up my pen, then set it down. "Actually, Janelle, cancel it. Merry Christmas." The irony was sweeter than holiday wine. For 6 months, Lynn & Mason had been scrambling to secure a strategic alliance with Limbridge Strategies. They had no idea the company they were chasing belonged to the daughter they'd cast aside. I glanced again at my mother's message. Maintain a certain image. Moments later, my inbox chimed. A new email from Mason. "Harper, Mom told me about Christmas. Don't overthink it. You know how she gets about appearances. Besides, Melanie's career is very public. It's just cleaner this way. Maybe once you're established, things can go back to normal." Once I'm established, I echoed silently, my eyes landing on the 7-figure deal waiting on my desk. This partnership would unlock Lynn & Mason's international operations, their much-needed lifeline. Dad had been boasting about it for months. All it needed now was my signature. Janelle returned with an iPad. "Your father's on Zoom. He wants to confirm tomorrow's ceremony." I nodded, then joined the call. "Harper Lynn speaking," I said, my voice calm, clipped. I always used my mother's maiden name in business. Another layer of distance. "Harper?" "Good evening," my father said, his tone polished and formal. So different from the man who once dismissed my startup as a waste of potential. "Just checking. Everything's on track for tomorrow, right? This deal is vital for our future." I thought of the Christmas dinners I'd never been invited to, Mason's smug notes, the years I had lived as their shadow. "Actually, Mr. Lynn," I said evenly, "I've been reviewing the terms. I have some concerns." "Concerns?" His voice cracked. "But everything's already approved." "Things change," I cut in. "We should discuss it in person. Bring the whole family to the signing. After all, Lynn & Mason is a family company, isn't it?" "Well, of course," he stammered. "Your mother, Mason, Melanie, but Harper's not really—" "All your children," I repeated firmly. A pause, then a subdued murmur. "Understood." "Good," I said, and ended the call. Tomorrow would be interesting. Afterward, I leaned back in my chair watching the glittering skyline. Tomorrow, my family would step into Limbridge headquarters expecting to meet a faceless CEO. Instead, They would come face to face with the daughter they had dismissed and forgotten. Janelle appeared once more in the doorway. "Shall I prepare the executive conference room for tomorrow's event?" "Yes," I said, my fingers brushing over the embossed contracts. "And Janelle, make sure the photographers are ready. I want every single expression documented." That night, I stayed late, planning every detail. This wouldn't be just a signing ceremony. It would be a reckoning. My family had always worshipped appearances. Tomorrow, they would finally see what earned power looked like. Christmas would never be the same. By 6 a.m., I was already in my office. The 47th floor conference room gleamed. Fresh orchids graced the room, flown in from overseas, their fragrance softening the sharp elegance of the conference table, polished to a flawless shine. Floor-to-ceiling glass revealed the frozen lake, glistening below. Janelle entered, her composure unshakable as always. "Your family just arrived. Shall I bring them up?" I glanced at my reflection. No trace remained of the cardigans and sensible flats they remembered me in. Today, I stood armored in a charcoal Armani suit, Louis Vuitton heels, and my grandmother's Cartier watch. The last gift she ever gave me, a silent inheritance they all underestimated. "Let them wait," I replied, smoothing the lapel of my jacket. "I intend to make an entrance." 20 minutes later, I was in my private elevator, watching numbers climb as my phone buzzed. Another message from my mother. "Harper, where are you? Your father insists this meeting is crucial. Please don't embarrass us." A smile curved my lips as I slipped the phone back into my pocket. Through the glass walls of the conference room, I spotted them. Dad pacing, Mom fussing with Mason's tie, Melanie rehearsing her perfect smile, and the senator's board members obliviously scanning the contracts. At my nod, Janelle swung the doors open. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, her voice carrying, "Miss Harper, CEO of Limbridge Strategies." The room froze. Energy shifted, tense and electric. My heels struck sharp notes against the marble as I entered. Then came the sound. My mother's champagne flute slipping, shattering against the walnut table. My father's face drained, disbelief overtaking fury. Mason, usually so self-assured, sat stricken into silence. "Good morning, everyone," I said evenly, sliding into the chair at the head of the table. "Shall we begin?" "This is absurd," my father sputtered. "You're a freelance consultant, nothing more." Calmly, I opened a sleek black folder. If that were true, these documents wouldn't state otherwise. According to them, I'm the CEO of the very firm you've been courting. The senator straightened, interest sparking. "I'm sorry. What exactly is happening here?" "Oh," I replied smoothly, my eyes flicking to Melanie, my tone dipped in sweetness. "I would have been introduced properly at Christmas dinner, but I wasn't invited. Something about appearances." "Harper, darling," my mother began, desperate. "This is all a terrible misunderstanding." "Is it?" I cut in. "Like the plans I had when I launched my business with no support?" I shot back. "The ones dismissed at every holiday table?" "That was different," Mom insisted weakly. "We wanted to shield you from failure." "No." I rose, my voice slicing through the air. "You weren't protecting me. You were protecting your reputation." I gestured toward the glittering skyline beyond the glass. "And now, the world will see exactly who the Lynns are." Straightening my blazer cuff, I spoke with finality. "The partnership is terminated. Limbridge will acquire Mirage directly, which, as my father surely realizes, blocks Lynn and Mason Holdings from entering the European market." My father sank into his chair, crushed beneath the weight of it. Without Limbridge, without expansion funding, Lynn and Mason was nothing more than an aging regional firm clinging to illusions of relevance. "You can't," he whispered hoarsely. "We're family." I paused at the door, turning slowly. "Family?" My laugh was sharp, humorless. Funny, because yesterday I was told I wasn't successful enough to belong to this family. I wonder, will I qualify for Christmas dinner? Now? And with that, I left. The silence in my wake was deafening. Through the glass, I glimpsed my mother pressing a silk handkerchief to her trembling face. My father, hollow-eyed, stared at the ruined contract. Mason, once so polished, sat slack-jawed as his carefully built ambitions crumbled into dust. Janelle fell into step beside me. That was intense. Are you all right? I glanced at my phone, where a new message blinked on the screen. My mother's voice in text once more. Harper, please come to dinner. I think it's time we end this, I said with a faint smile. Cancel the Christmas dinner. I have better plans. The backlash came swiftly. Voicemails, emails, desperate texts. Harper, we're still your parents. You're destroying us. Families don't solve problems like this. Please, let's talk. Just us. I ignored every message. Meanwhile, Limbridge sealed the Mirage acquisition, and Lynn & Mason stock began its slow, humiliating decline. The headlines were brutal. GMO gamble collapses. Merger failure sinks family-owned firm. Limbridge dominates AI supply chain. A week later, I was reviewing new proposals when Janelle appeared. Your brother's here. Third time this week, but this time he's alone. I pulled up the security feed. Mason waited in the lobby. No polished smile, no perfect posture. His tie hung loose, and his eyes looked exhausted. Something had shifted. Send him up, I said after a pause. He stepped inside cautiously, studying the office he'd never imagined his younger sister commanding. The sweeping skyline, curated art, quiet power in every detail. Nice office, he said slowly. Bigger than mine at Lynn & Mason. Not that it means much anymore. What do you want, Mason? He sank into the chair without his usual bravado. Melanie called off the wedding. I raised a brow. Really? The perfect political match. Couldn't handle a few headlines? She said she can't be tied to a sinking ship. I don't fit her image anymore. He gave a hollow laugh. The irony, right? Dad's drinking again? The board's panicking? Mom can't show her face. At the club, everything's falling apart. Because of me? I asked evenly. No, he admitted. Because we built everything on appearances. Just like my relationship, I gave a single nod. You all worshipped success that looked a certain way. I never matched it. I deserved that, he murmured. You deserved a lot more, I replied sharply. Do you know what it felt like, watching you all toast each other's wins while I was invisible? Mom threw parties for your every promotion. She couldn't even remember what I did. We thought you were struggling. You never asked. Not once in 10 years did any of you ask about my company, my team, my vision, I cut in, rising to my feet. You were too busy dismissing me to see that I surpassed you all. His silence was enough. Then for the first time, real tears, unguarded, raw. I was awful to you. Can you forgive me? Forgiveness isn't the issue, I said steadily. Trust is, and that's something you'll have to earn. The door burst open. My parents swept in, ignoring Janelle's protests. Harper, my father snapped, though the thunder in his voice had dulled. This has gone far enough. You've made your point. Oh? I asked calmly. And what point would that be? That you're successful, my mother said breathlessly. That we were wrong. We see you now, darling. Please stop punishing us. A sharp, hollow laugh escaped me. Do you really think this is about revenge? About proving I made it? I walked to the window, looking out over the glittering skyline. No, this is about consequences. About showing you that your judgment, your disregard, your arrogance carry weight. We're your parents, my father said, voice breaking. Everything we did was to protect you. I turned back slowly. No, everything you did was to protect your image. I gestured at the glowing headlines on my tablet. And congratulations, that image is in ruins. A company collapsing, an engagement in ashes, a family unraveling. What do you want from us? Mason asked quietly. What I wanted, I answered, was your belief when I was building Limbridge, your respect when I succeeded, to be treated like family, not like a mistake. I let the silence linger. But now, I don't want anything. Tears streamed down my mother's face, but I didn't flinch. I'd seen them before, when I didn't get into the right college, when I refused the firm, when I failed. Their expectations. Please, Harper, she whispered. It's almost Christmas. I told them, the Christmas dinner isn't happening for me. I've always been too much of a disappointment to be invited. Tell me, do you still cling to appearances? Or did that illusion vanish the moment your golden boy was dumped? My father stepped forward. Just tell us, board seats, equity, a public apology. Whatever you want, name it. I shook my head. You still don't understand. I don't want what you have. Limbridge is worth 10 times more than Lynn and Mason ever dreamed of. What I wanted, I said quietly, was a family who valued me,